Hello there, and welcome to the Holiday Impact. Joining me today is Highly Rainey. Thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me, Shantae.
My pleasure. And today we will be discussing being resourceful in regards to being an entrepreneur. Rainey, Highly, I'm sorry. What is the first step in cultivating a problem solving mindset, in your opinion?
Well, I know a lot of you, we hear a lot today about everything. People talk about affirmations and being positive, and manifesting and things of that nature. And that's debatable. I mean, I personally, I do believe in, I don't want to call it, because I think manifestation sort of gets, I think people kind of say we're asking for God to help us without asking God, which that's a whole controversial thing. But I will say this: I do believe in being positive, and nothing else for mental health. And then with the idea of approaching the challenges with a belief that, I mean, there's a solution to every problem, right? Sometimes there's more than one solution. So that's the approach I have. I say I stay positive, and I say, okay, these problems, they have solutions, and that's life.
Right. And like you said, that is life, right? So, I mean, and what you said, I really relate to that because I mean, I would rather think of it as every problem has a solution instead of every problem has another 30 problems because I feel like
Exactly.
that puts a person in a victim mindset,
I agree.
and that's
Now,
no way to live.
right.
Um,
Now, it is. I think there is a universal fact that solutions to one problem, challenge, I'd like to say challenges, can create other challenges down the line, but it's to be expected. I mean, it's like, when when they said, okay, let's get rid of buggies because we got horse manure everywhere, and they invented cars, and then cars have pollution, and then they say, okay, so now we got pollution with no problem. Let's create pollution controls mechanically, and then so on and so forth. And each one of those things is a challenge, not a problem, and it's a challenge to overcome. Just like when you say, I ate dinner last night and it was great, and now the challenge is who's gonna wash the dishes.
exactly. So, and I can definitely relate to that because I always lose the fight. Um,
Same here. Yeah,
my next
otherwise they'll be there.
Right, right. My next question for you is how can creativity be developed to enhance resourcefulness?
Uh, well, creativity, I believe, can be developed by thinking outside the proverbial box. Um, when you brainstorm, or at least when I brainstorm, what works for me is I come up with a whole wide variety of ideas, and then it becomes a matter of, okay, how do we do that? If this is an idea, how do we make that happen? How do we figure out a way how to do that? And then, before you even do that, how about let's see if anybody else ever had this problem, if they figured out a solution. So why create a solution, or why go after one, try to create one when someone else may have already done the heavy lifting for us. So I definitely do believe in doing my research as being resourceful and say, hey, let's see if the answers are out there already.
Exactly. No, I
And
love that and
yeah,
stuff,
Chat GTP, of course, helps with that. As any other AI, that goes a long way too, because now finding out those solutions is easier than ever.
Exactly. And Chat GPT is definitely my best friend. So I highly I definitely agree with that for sure. You guys, if you have any creative ideas on how to develop or enhance your resourcefulness as an entrepreneur, go ahead and comment that right down below. Also, do me a favor and comment where you're watching from because we love to go back and see that from you guys. My next question from you, Highly, is going to be what should you do before evaluating the feasibility of ideas during brainstorming?
That's a good question. Uh, He trying to catch me off. He catch me off with this one. It's like, okay, you get all these ideas, right? You have all this wide range of ideas, and the first thing I think a lot of us want to do is say, "Oh, that's a dumb idea. Oh, this one's a good idea," and we kind of judge them while we're listening to them. And sometimes if we dismiss one instead of just putting it on the list and then go back and reinvent it, we might think not to even put it on the list. Oh, that's a dumb one, and don't even put it on there. So I know I've been guilty of judging those ideas before I even research them out or flesh them out, if you will, and just let the creativity flow. Just put all the answers down, because I get caught on my own trip because I start dismissing things. And conversely, some of them I fall in love with. I say, I put this at the top because I really like that would sound good to me. Then I do the research and go, oh, never mind. So I think I just try to free flow first and then judge later in the research.
Right. And I totally agree and stuff there. One of the things that I do, like you said, free flowing is an excellent strategy when evaluating your ideas during brainstorming, right? Another thing you could do is you could focus group it for sure. You
Yes,
can
definitely.
you can definitely shoot the ideas to a group of your peers to see like, okay, which one is going to be the most relatable to others.
Yeah,
Because
exactly. Yeah.
sometimes when we're only thinking of our idea, it's just that we're only thinking of it from one point of view. And so a fresh pair of eyes does a world of wonders, right?
Mhm.
And stuff there.
Yeah.
So yeah. Next question is, why is it important to inventory your resources when aiming to be resourceful?
Oh, you're trying to stump me today.
I'm
oh,
sorry.
let's see. Let me think about that for a second. Well, obviously, it's important that you inventory resources to begin with, because sometimes it's like a mechanic or it's like a carpenter. You go and put your tools in your tool belt or in your toolbox, and the worst thing you can do is get to the job site and realize one of your best tools, you left it at home. And it's like, oh, shoot. I mean, obviously, hammer starts there as a carpenter, and then for a mechanic, wrench, screwdriver, things of that nature. So, having said that, make sure you got all your tools first, whatever they may be. And, so you want to do that inventory, if you will, first. And so that way, right off the bat, what tools do you have to work with from the beginning? Because all your answers might already be in hand, so to speak. Um, all your
Exactly.
skills, your knowledge, past experiences, networks, people. We talked about focus groups a moment ago. That's sort of part of our networks where we have these other brains, especially, and not only are like-minded people, some are not so like-minded people to give us that counterpoint that we need for balance. Um, and then we can take all of that, and all of those things and leverage them to get the answers we need to, and see that even if we got limited skills and tools, having that network, having that focus group, having those peers can leverage what little we have in regards to what's needed for that particular challenge.
Gotcha. Okay. No, I love it. And you hit some really, really good points there. So, in your opinion, I would love to know, what role does continuous learning play in being your best self as an entrepreneur?
Oh, absolutely. I can tell you right now, continuous learning is crucial. And this is something I get this question all the time, especially on my social media platforms, because people often ask me, what books do you read?
Oh,
And why do you read this, that, and the other? But I tell people, even if you're not an entrepreneur, you should be reading. I mean, some people just have this thing in their mind that reading is something you do in grade school, or you do it for a class to get a grade, and
exactly.
then that. And I'm a big believer in continuous learning. and in any subject, not just in business stuff. Sometimes personal growth, because I kind of split everything into two categories. You got personal growth and professional development. And so, and of course, some things, they dovetail. So for me, continuous learning is huge because that exposure to those new concepts and ideas become new resources to be tapped later when they're needed, right? So
Exactly.
you'll enhance your knowledge, you get some skills if you're lucky, and then the key there is to start to apply them. And it'll give us more tools, more resources to handle various challenges, the ones we already got, as well as new ones that come along that we have no idea that are coming. And then, we can come up with innovative solutions, and it'll be less stressful that way. It won't be such a shock, I think.
Right. No, what you call and stuff there, I definitely can relate to that. Continuous learning in general should be a lifetime. Definitely, it shouldn't be a limited thing. Like, oh, okay, I graduated high school, I graduated college, I'm done. No, you're not done, not yet, right? And stuff there. So a lot of things are muscle memory, and yes, you can go your whole life without trying to learn something new, but a lot of times you end up learning on accident anyway.
Mhm.
So it's
Mhm.
easier to just kind of accept the fact.
Not to mention that things are changing every day, and things
Same
are
day.
changing as I'm a Trekkie, so I'm gonna use that at warp speed because I mean stuff that I learned about a year ago, new to it, it's
Hmm.
already changed. I'm like, oh man, I'm just getting used to this, and boom, a new technology come along, or there's something new, different, something's passe. This is cutting edge. I mean, everybody's hollering about AI, but I mean, AI has been on the forefront for 5 years now. It's just now gotten to the point to where everyday folk like us is right here in our hands, and we can now have avenues to use it. So I tell people, if nothing else, um, just to keep up. If you don't learn new stuff just to keep up. I mean, I hear people all the time say, "Oh, nobody's gonna do that." I say, "Look, every time they come out with a new phone, you figure out how to use that joker. So don't tell me, you don't have time for that."
Exactly. Exactly. No. And what you call it, another thing about putting yourself in new spaces to learn new things, you get to meet new people to continue to expand your network as well. So definitely put yourself in those situations to where you can grasp onto new opportunities and meet some new people. Um,
Yeah, I
now,
met
one thing
some
we have.
folks. I'm
Mhm.
sorry. I made a couple of friends just because I know a lot of the videos that you provide to me as my mentor, the Loom videos, and
Mhm.
I use that. So some of the videos it's kind of like okay. So I found a group that they says, "Hey, do you watch Loom videos to try to learn how do you use them?" And so I made friends from the Loom group. Yeah, yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
I love that.
yeah. So
I had
and
no
we're
idea.
all over the place. So it's not like we're in the same lines of business and things. So it's just this
Right.
wide cross section of folks who using Loom, folks who are using Loom for go high level type stuff. So it's just kind of like they're just that one little thread of commonality, and here it is now. So I'm talking to folks all over the place, just because of Loom and go high level. Yeah.
Gotcha. No, I love that. I had no idea. So I'm really happy for you. And one thing that we haven't discussed yet is how can building that strong network contribute to growing your status as an entrepreneur?
Again, example one, when we were just talking about that networking. I mean, because I know for me, I look at networking. I know people have some notions about what networking is supposed to do in business now, and I'll admit, early, long time ago, early in my career, I kind of had this mindset that networking was all about, going out and trying to find business try to find new customers, trying to find leads. And I learned that that's not what networking is for. But there are a lot of people still doing that. See, when I go to networking events, it's not for customers, it's for partners. What we call affiliates now, but it's for partners. That's why a lot of folks come to me as referrals through some of my lending partners and my business consultant partners who are helping folks and trying to extend loans to them, my loan officers, my auto dealer loan officers, where they're needing someone to fix these people credit so they can extend them a loan. So I meet those folks at different events. Sometimes I meet folks not even for a referral source or that type of partnership, just they have services that I might be able to use. So
Right.
and then the more people they know, they'll say, oh, okay, you sound like a straight shooter. I know a guy, because everybody knows a guy, right? And so that's a big part of that networking that I understand it to be nowadays. It's not just that. It's just that if you did a call out and you ask, hey, what do you know about this guy? There are people out there that I think for the most part, I think would have something good to say about me. I mean, there may be a few that might not, but hey, but that networking is for that purpose. It's for meeting people, like-minded people, peers, people that not only can you do business with, but you can talk business with, get fresh ideas from them. So that's another resource that comes from networking. I
Gotcha.
mean, you get that support, you get that advice, you know, collaboration is big, because I know I'm a big collaborator. I like to collaborate, uh, it's just to me, it should be a win-win. I believe in a mutual aid society. So, and then again, more
Gotcha.
solutions.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. And what's a practical tip that you would be able to give us on staying organized and efficient?
Hmm. Well, okay, this is a little tougher because I'm still working on it. I'm a very organized person with myself, but it's hard. I still struggle with organizing within the context of organizing with other people. That's not one of my strong suits, but it's one thing I'm working at. So I have to qualify my response to that one before I say anything while I'm thinking of what I want to say about it. But I will say this. I'm a big plan ahead person, so I believe in plans. I know how to improvise, but I stay sane with plans. Um, my struggle with other people is if I have this overall strategy, okay, and then of course we know you got an overall strategy, and then you break that down into a series of tactics, and you do those. It's
Right.
difficult for me because when I lay out a strategy and I lay out tactics, and then those tactics intermingle with other people and their tactics, and then they don't do what they're supposed to do, it makes my sweater unravel, if you will. I don't know if anybody know that metaphor about the unraveling sweater.
Amen.
So that's where I have my difficulties at, because I always find I was like, man, why people just can't do what they said they was gonna do, type of thing, and then I find myself having to pivot and be frustrated with it. But I had to come to terms with the fact that it's going to happen, and get over it. So
Definitely.
that's my struggle, is trying to uh, work on that. So
I gotcha. And you know what? Life is about adaptability.
exactly, and just trying to stay. I try to anticipate all the possible outcomes, favorable and unfavorable, and try to be prepared. Say, okay, if this happens, I can do this. I can, but it never fails. That one you don't think of is the one that happens. But that is a work in progress for me. So I will say that. I don't know how much I can help anybody with that
Gotcha.
one. So Yeah,
comment below. That's like, yeah.
please. If anybody got comments below, I've read various books on it. I've read the 12-week year. I've read Covey's. I got all Covey stuff, trying to, different organizational things. And like I said, I'm pretty good with my organization. It's just that when my organization, my chart relies on other people in there, and then I don't do a good enough job of anticipating all the what ifs. So yeah,
Gotcha. And if you can relate, go ahead and comment down the number one.
please.
If you can relate to what Hailey was saying about, trying to count for all the probabilities on what could happen for situations with being an entrepreneur. Just because it's kind of like we have to be ready for all weather, right? No matter what happens. um, so how does adaptability contribute um to you being resourceful?
Whew. Adaptability is everything, because if you can't adapt, you will wither and die, because
Amen.
as men you have all said many times in conversations, it's always something, and so I just think about being adaptable. It will allow you, to embrace change, because that's the thing. Just accept the fact that things are going to change. Accept the fact that it's not going to stay the same, even when you want it to, because you know how people talk about, let's stick with the devil. I don't mess with the devil at all, whether I know him or not, me personally. But and just have, like I was talking about before, with my tactics and strategies, when somebody doesn't do what they said they would, then I got to make changes. I got to, have to pivot and alter plans as needed. Um, but the biggest thing I know for me is I I used to spend too much time, because I never had a problem with dealing with the failures that come along ultimately, but I used to spend too much time, or I don't say too much, an inordinate amount of time analyzing the failure, trying to figure out every single thing that went wrong that led to that failure, instead of looking at the main ones and say, okay, let's make adjustments and move faster. I was taking too
Right.
long to adjust from failures. Campaigns, marketing campaigns, promotions, coupons, discounts, just book launches, and all that. And when things don't kind of pan out, and it's like, okay, I need to make adjustments, YouTube videos, that sort of thing. So I've gotten better at that.
Analytics.
Yep, I've gotten better at that. And so that way you can overcome the obstacles faster. Just take a quick moment, look, say, let me do one thing. I would try to change 20 things, try to cover all the bad pieces. Now I say, know what's the one thing? Let's change one thing at a time, see what happens, but do it frequently. Instead of try to change 12 things and then wait a month. Change one, wait a day or two, change another thing, wait a day or two, and keep looking back and forth at any changes, that delta, as we call it in math, that delta, and see if we're going in the right direction. So,
Right. Okay. Gotcha. And when you were talking about change and adaptability and being resourceful, I don't know why it made me think of Harry Potter. Um
I'm a fan.
and stuff there. Whatchamacallit, that's one of the most adaptable fictional characters I know. And stuff there, So definitely never give up in your endeavors for what you're doing. Just stay adaptable and you'll be just fine.
Yeah.
Now, is there a simple way to maximize resources in a business with limited funds, in your opinion?
Oh, absolutely.
I know there's ways, but is there a simple way?
Software. I mean, in this day and age, software is key, because software
Okay.
is, for me, especially um, with software being so much more affordable now, and by it being web-based and available, you don't have to worry about having. Remember, I'm a little older than you, but I remember when this technology came along, you had DVDs and CDs, CD-ROMs, you had to download. Well, look, I go back a little further. I can tell you about that floppy disk. You know what I'm saying?
I had those in grade
Look
school.
like this. Floppy disk.
Yes,
Stick it in there. And you had to
exactly.
uninstall and reinstall and all that. But now it's the beauty of it is with everything being web-based, all it is you get access, boom, you go. I mean, I got software from you and it works great. But to me, software can make a single solopreneur be just as legitimate as a bigger company because all of that is there. To build the websites, accounting, if you want to do project management and, all of those things, if you want to have, your QuickBooks. I mean, look, we got Canva if you want to do your own funnel pages and things of that nature, your own banners, all
Graphic
types of
design,
creativity
absolutely.
like that. So I would say software is the single thing. We just need to know, again, going back to that toolbox metaphor, we just need to know software is tools. And you as the business owner, the biggest thing you need to know is what tools do you need to do what you need to do.
Right, right. Okay, alrighty. And why do you feel that why do you feel minimalism is suggested as a practical tip for being resourceful?
If I understand you right, minimalist mean like basically keep it simple. Yeah,
Exactly.
I would say definitely because to keep from being overwhelmed, for one, um, it'll allow you to focus on your most essential resources that you need and I mean, because a lot of people I know and a lot of folks, um, I kind of knew enough to know, but it's not uncommon for a lot of folks. They start a business, and the first thing you do, of course, we know we all go to Vistaprint and get them cards, right? Got to get those first business cards. But
Yes.
I've seen people go the whole thing before they've even sold anything. They've gone to Vistaprint. They've printed business cards and table covers and banners and T-shirts and
Tote
a
bag.
whole bunch of stuff that does not contribute to their business at all. In other words, there's a lot of promotion pieces going on there, but they haven't really spent any time actually in the business, building the business, those components. So I think that before you go and do all of that, because I get it, you want to put your shingle out and say to the world, I'm in business. But before you
Right.
do that, there's a lot of stuff that should be done behind the scenes in the dark, so to speak, or at least in the back of the corner of the room until you're ready to come out. You know what I mean? And I know people, they
Right.
want to come out right away, but to focus on those essential resources, and because you start to eliminate, you'll start to gather clutter. And now, not just
Right.
the clutter of those things I mentioned, but the clutter
Mhm.
here, because you start thinking about all the things they need to do. Like I was talking to a young lady and I told her, as far as her product goes, she should promote her brand on YouTube. Now she has a YouTube channel. She started putting out small videos. She doesn't really like being on video. And she didn't like the videos and she was blaming it on her phone. It wasn't her phone, it was her face because she wasn't smiling. She
Right.
was rigid and stiff and uncomfortable. So she said, well, when I get the money, I'm going to hire this big guy who's going to create my YouTube content for me. He's going to make slick videos so I'll look better on camera. I'm like, girl, you got an i20. Them cameras as good as anything they sell on the market as far as cameras. It's not the camera, but she's created all this clutter in her mind about all the things that she wished she had to get her business to the next level when she's not even using all the resources she have right in front of her.
Right. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And you know what? That mindset clutter is huge, though. I feel like we've all
Oh,
been there at one
absolutely.
point or
I
another.
know I have. Yeah,
So,
I know I have. Just I am an idea person. Um,
mhm,
and I come up with ideas now, of course. you have to flesh them out to determine whether they're good ideas, but there are ideas to say, hey, what if we did this? Or can we do this? Can we do that? But I found myself bogged down with well, I don't know how to do that. How do I find out how to do that? And then if I didn't feel like I knew how to do it, I kind of put it off to the side and tried to, stick to I stuck to my strengths. But the problem was all my strengths are not enough to overcome all my weaknesses. That's what we need to leverage
Right.
other folk, other resources to help enhance what we have and enhance what we already have, get more so we'll have more, and leverage what we have and leverage what we already have and leverage what we learn while we learn what we're learning from what we learn. I'm sorry, that sounds like a Seussian type of thing, but it's weird. It's one of those concepts. I don't know if you're familiar with it. You know how it's like when you learn to do something new, you're learning from it while you're teaching somebody else. And and
Right.
I mean, and then it's one of those type of things. And so I found that many times I've had to learn about something to learn what I needed to learn about it. So
Right.
it's kind of weird. So, but yeah, that's how I just focus, concentrate on what your main core is, and then add on to the things. Because sometimes people get lost in what they start out to do. Um, and before they know it, they're doing 6 other things that they really, and they're not even, they've neglected their main thing, trying to do 6 other things because they've come across them on the internet and whatnot. And they say, oh, that sounds good too. Oh, that sounds good too. I mean, I'm guilty of it. I've had a few things catch my eye and I go, oh, that sounds good. Um, and just kind of weigh out whether it's because some of them, it's not that they're bad, it's just maybe now is not the time because I gotta focus on this, get this to a certain point before moving on to something else. Because I know there's some people out there that they say the wealthy people have they're wealthy because they have 7 different streams of income. But
Right.
people are forgetting that they didn't start out with 7. They started out with 1, then they built another and another and another. They didn't go out and say, oh, I'm gonna run over here and run over here and run over there. And that's what a lot of people fail. You don't need 7 streams of income necessarily. You just need one good one, one real
Exactly.
good one.
And
But I do believe in diversification though, when the timing's right.
right. Okay. No, and that's for sure. Definitely having a diversified, like,
Yep.
portfolio matters. But like you said, you don't have to diversify your portfolio overnight. It's best to find that one stream that makes you your money and then leverage that money by continuing to grow your assets that way,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
That way you don't have 7
Because
liabilities.
really, at the end of the day,
Um,
they may be 7, but they're related to each other. One
exactly.
is sort of an ecosystem. I know a lot of you
Right.
entrepreneurs out there familiar with the concept of ecosystem. That's not the same as if somebody says, okay, I have an ice cream stand. I run an ice cream stand, but then now I got this business painting houses, and then I got this this other business selling stuffed unicorns, and then I got this other business. It's just like these are all things that don't really. There's no cohesiveness to them, and so they're doing this and they're doing that and they're doing this. And then I know for me, I had several things that one makes more money than the others. But I know that the ones I got, I'm in a building mode with them right now. So I'm not looking at what's happening right now. I'm looking at because they're all related to each other and they all enhance each other, but it's a building process. Um, yeah.
Right. the potential growth over
Yeah,
time
because
for
I
sure.
mean, I had a guy that he owns a tow truck. He tows cars, so he tows cars. He has a pop up restaurant where he sells Polish boys.
Okay.
He does that, and then he's doing lawn care, and then he's doing. It's like, how do you even have time for all of that? It's just bizarre. I said, man, you killing yourself. And only one of those things is making much more than the others. And I think he could
Right.
make even more with those if he put those down. I say either put these down or partner with somebody and let them do that one. And you partner with that one. So it's a work in progress. So but they're all his babies now. Now he told me I'm asking him to choose his children. I'm like, bro, these are businesses. These are not children.
Oh,
He don't have
say
he
that
don't
to
have
him.
children,
That's
so
not
he
what his
used that
lawyers tell
analogy.
him.
He uses that analogy with no qualification because he doesn't even have kids. At least not that he knows.
Oh
Not that he
man,
knows.
bless his
But yeah,
heart.
he used that analogy, and I told him, I said, man, you need to put this down and just stick with this. Put these over here to the side. He said, man, all of these are my brain children. That's my brainchild. And now you're making me choose. Would you choose? I said, well, these are not children. So, yeah. Anyway.
You know what? I will say this: selling food is definitely addictive, though, because my family, and stuff there, we build food trailers, and we have a food trailer called the Pink Taco, and it's so hard stopping to sell food. It's addictive. It's addictive. So I can only imagine how he feels about making his what is it,
Yeah,
Polish po'
Polish
boys?
boys. Yeah, this is the Cleveland style. This is a Cleveland thing. You got to be from Cleveland to understand a Polish boy. Basically, it's a smoked sausage on not on a hot dog bun, but on this hearty bun. Like a sub style bun. It's
Yeah.
it's 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 a Polish sausage, deep fried, barbecue
Okay.
sauce,
Mhm.
coleslaw, French fries, and it's wrapped and it's a sandwich. It's the Cleveland thing. There have been people all over who've tried to transplant Polish boys to different parts of the country with some success. Um, but most places they go elsewhere. They don't even want to call it a Polish boy. They want to call it a po' boy, which is a totally different animal, which you probably know what a po' boy is. A po' boy can be
Yes, New
seafood on
Orleans.
it, right? Yeah. But it's not the same
Right.
as a po' boy. It's a Polish boy, Polish sausage. Yeah,
Polish
Polish
boy.
boy. Yep.
Okay.
You could probably Google it. I'm sure it's in the lexicon
I
now.
will.
Um,
I
but
will. It making me
yeah,
hungry.
yeah, and it's it'll change your life. Now I don't eat as many as
Yeah,
I used
like it
to,
may
but it's. I mean, if you like barbecue, in Cleveland, Northeast Ohio. That is a staple barbecue item. That's just as legitimate in Cleveland. That's just as legitimate as brisket, which we do have too. We
Oh,
love our brisket and corned beef. Corned beef
okay.
sandwiches. That's another Cleveland. That's not unique to Cleveland, but it seems to be really, really crazy in Cleveland. That's almost tradition. If you eat beef, corned beef, it's not just for Easter. It's not just for St. Patrick's Day. They serve sandwiches this tall, most places. Yeah, I mean,
Jeez.
they're literally. I'm not exaggerating. They're like this. Like, yeah, yeah. If you
Goodness.
Google. Well, I hate to promote them, so I'm not gonna say. Just Google corned beef in Cleveland, and then you'll see the phenomenon that it is. Um,
I
but yeah,
will. I
but yeah,
promise you I
I don't know.
will.
I never thought about that. The addiction of food selling.
Yeah, it's
What?
addictive to
Right,
sell
right, right.
food
I
because
mean,
it's the fast money and
gotcha.
stuff
Okay.
there. It's the flexibility, it's the fast money, it's the relationship you get with your clients and stuff there. And that feeling you get when somebody eats your food. And it doesn't matter if it's a taco or a hot dog or some shaved ice. Um, if you're watching right now and you're a foodie or you've sold food, then you know exactly the rush I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
I would have to admit though, I do know psychologically, when you feed people good, they will love you.
Yeah, it's that feeling like it's almost like you feel like you're in Big Mama's house or something
Yeah,
like that. Like everybody's coming to sit at your table
yeah,
and stuff there. It's that homey
mhm,
feeling and stuff there.
yeah.
So, it's the easiest way to make a 5-minute best friend
Yeah, that's true. Because
as
in my
well.
circles, everybody know me for my ribs, and I get family members that call me
See?
and say, "Hey, man, you gonna make some ribs? Can you make some ribs? You should sell these." I'm like, "No, because if I sold them, you wouldn't buy them. You want
See?
them for
I buy
free."
them, and I'm all the way here in Virginia. Look, the moment you start shipping, I'll start eating.
Yeah,
I don't
I never considered that, you know, as a side venture or something like that. And I've had family members offering to pay me. They said, "Could you make some? I buy the ribs. I give you, you know, blah blah blah." And I'm like, now it's now it becomes a commitment, and now
it takes the
when
fun
money
out of it.
exchange, now you got expectations. They'll be the same ribs, but now they don't taste quite the same because you paid for them than when they was free at my
Oh
house. You
man.
know what I mean? You know, so I
Right,
might be jaded a
right.
little bit, but
Well, what kind of wood do you use when do you smoke
yeah, I
them?
use oak. Oak. I use yeah. Oh
Oh,
yeah.
okay, nice,
Yeah. Oh
nice.
yeah.
Because I know every type of different wood and stuff there has that different taste
Yeah.
to it. So I'm always
I've
wondering.
experimented a little bit with different ones. I usually use the lump charcoal or the with a little bit of oak in there. I've done mesquite and all that, but I don't. People don't like the mesquite as much up here. You know, it's not like Texas. People love mesquite wood smoke. You know, people like oak more so here because it's a little bit more mellow. Um, but yeah,
Right.
just you know, so I guess I get what you're saying because there is a certain satisfaction that you get when people love your food stuff, you know, and if they're
Gotcha.
paying
Yeah,
you,
no, for sure.
yeah. But the logistics though,
You know.
you guys don't find that a challenge?
Um, every business is a
Mm,
challenge. I'm not even gonna
true.
lie to you and stuff there. Because you have your highs and your lows, just like with everything else. But there are so many different ways where you can make it profitable before you've sold anything by by maximizing pre-orders.
Exactly. I've given that strategy
Um,
to some of my clients. Um,
yeah, I have an entire video about it on my YouTube and everything that I made years ago. And that's when my baby was a baby. Now he's 5. So just tell you how far long ago that video was. But yeah, no. If you've made it this far in the video, you guys go ahead and drop the number 2 in the comments for us. We really, really appreciate you sticking around and being here. Hailey, did you have any closing remarks for anyone that is still watching?
um, to tie into our topic today, of course, about being resourceful, I think the biggest thing is if by being resourceful, I think it will help you focus when because those tough times we know as entrepreneurs, there's those times where you're like you want to chuck it sometimes, or you just like, man, I just can't catch a break. Um, Continue to be resourceful because I think by not only will being resourceful help you find those nuggets that you need to get through whatever it is you're going through, it can also serve as a distraction, a good kind though, because while you're struggling on the solution and focusing on finding the solution, the activity of finding the solution and working through it, you don't have time to be feel sorry for yourself. You don't have time to be miserable. You don't have time just like kind of plunge through it and just being resourceful is sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy, at least it can be, because by focusing on the solution will come, and even though it sounds like you're not really focusing on the problem. You're thinking about the problem, but you're focusing on the solution. So it helps in so many facets that that's the only way through. You got to get through it.
Right, right. No, I appreciate you so much for being here. And you guys, thank you so much for
Thank you for
watching.
having me.
We just discussed on how to be resourceful for every entrepreneur out there is definitely worth the watch. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Thanks.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.